This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning, and it is Thursday, the 2nd of May, 2024. How are you doing? I hope your Thursday morning is fantastic. Welcome on board to Broadcast House here at Nile Avenue in Kampala. And you're welcome to a show that kickstarts your morning by inspiring you with news, information, and the same. I am Joram Paul Sonko. In here for the team, Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono, here for Chantal Olive Akandinda, Olive Monica Najuma, and Ruben Pima Chibirango. For the team, for the entire team here on Good Morning Uganda. And it's always a pleasure having your company as we get to kickstart off our morning. And of course, I do bring you greetings from Fort Portal, the city that did host the 2024 Labour's Day celebrations, and here we are moving forward. But well, that aside, I want to also welcome back all the local football supporters, or all the local football fans of Uganda that made sure that they went to the Nelson Mandela National Stadium, the new refurbished Nelson Mandela National Stadium yesterday. The numbers the stadium did fill to capacity as two test matches of the Uganda Premier League took charge in games that saw Vipers take on Bull FC, and of course the Kampala derby of KCCA and Sports Club Villa. But when you also get to notice how the Ugandans stand up, you want to believe that many of the Ugandans were eagerly waiting to return to Nelson Mandela. There was a lot of traffic along the way that is Chireka, Banda, Chireka, Boyo Gerere, as you're heading to Mukono. That was between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. Why was that so? Because the first game that kicked off at 4 p.m. and then the second game that kicked off at 7 p.m. East African Standard Time. So that means for Labour Day celebrations here in Uganda, many of the football supporters were fully geared up. And of course, these test matches to prepare the Nelson Mandela National Stadium, which is one of those stadiums that will host the 2027 African Cup of Nations, or the Pamoja bid that will see Uganda and Kenya plus Tanzania take on charge of hosting the biggest showpiece on the African continent. And of course, Minister Ogwang also revealed that this is a test match where the Ugandans will have to share their experience with the new refurbished Nelson Mandela National Stadium on the pitch quality, the entrance, the ticketing, and the like. And of course, more will proceed in regards to what happened between the matches, how did they end. Ruben Pima Chibirango will be right here to give you details of that in our sports updates here on Good Morning Uganda. But how are you doing? It's the second day of the month, and I want to assume, or I probably want to believe that we are all geared up for this particular new month. The energy has to be right. And obviously, we also left with 7 days to Census Night. Just to quickly remind you, by the way, that Census Night is 9th of May 2024, and 10th May will be a public holiday. Why is that so? Because it will be a time for the census to be conducted by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. And of course, we need to be part of the census. Why? To help the government do the accountability that is highly necessary. But aside from that, yesterday in Fort Portal, of course, many different trade organizations and trade union, that is the National Organization of Trade Union, that is NOTU, which was among the chief hosts of this particular year celebrations of Labor Day. Yesterday, all the celebrations were in Fort Portal, the tourism city, and well, you get to realize that quite a number of things were highlighted, and of which later on along the journey here on the show, we shall be taking you back a little bit to the president's speech during that, the president's address to the nation during the Labor Day celebrations in Uganda. And of course, just to quickly take you back a little bit, is that the theme for this year was improving access to labor justice, a prerequisite for improved productivity. So in your workspaces as you return today, because yesterday being a public holiday, you get to realize that many people were not working, apart from the self-employed Ugandans, but it was also very, it would have been of good use if I told you also utilize such a day to only work half day and try to also get some rest and celebrate the efforts that you end up putting in your day-to-day life. But also, besides that, President Museveni met Nebi clergy and contributed 1.3 billion Ugandan shillings for Matters Day. This was in a meeting on just before Labor Day, on the last day of the month of April. This was when President Museveni did meet the clergy from Nebi Catholic Diocese, of course, which is the organizing committee for this year's Matters Day celebrations on 3rd June. So we are only left with 30 days to also get into 3rd June for the preparations of that. Now, this meetup of the president with the clergy from Nebi was at State House in Entebbe. That was on the eve of Labor Day, before the president obviously traveled to Fort Portal to celebrate with the Ugandan workers, to celebrate with, of course, all those in the employment world, the employers and employees, not only those are best in Uganda, but pretty much also looking at those that are best away from Uganda, or what we could call the migrant workers in that regard. But obviously, we are here on Thursday, the 2nd of May, to make sure that we give you news, and not only from the local scene, but also from the international scene. Lots of things have been happening, lots of news and information has been making rounds, and it will definitely be doing me so good for me to share with you what has been making headlines, first from the local scene, as you sit back and get your morning inspired, gearing up for your new day of being optimistic about making more money on such a Thursday. But away from that, let's dive into what we've gathered for you from the local scene right here on Good Morning Uganda. Now, the first report comes in from the Labor Day celebrations in Fort Portal, because Ugandans have been urged to use 40 million acres of arable land in Uganda to create jobs. While officiating at the International Labor Day celebrations in Fort Portal, President Yoweri Museveni said that the problem is not lack of jobs for the Ugandans, but the problem is lack of vision. Now, Uganda joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Labor Day in Fort Portal, as this year's celebrations did come at a time when workers still face challenges of poor working environment and pay. Plus, the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development is to put emphasis on the fair and effective mechanisms for solving disputes at various workspaces. While officiating at the function in Fort Portal, the President of Uganda said the problem is not jobs but the attitude towards these jobs. He further re-echoed his advice for the 4-acre model, emphasizing that jobs come from wealth creation. Now, President Museveni, on the issues of workers, directed the Ministry of Local Government through the Vice President to take up the matter of the rich people taking up markets built for the poor people, or MET, for the financially struggling Ugandans. Now, the State Minister for Labour, Esther Anyakun, said that the ministry is coming up with a national employment strategy from 2023 to 2028 and undertaking a number of initiatives to address issues of workers like lack of protective gear. Now, the State Minister further re-emphasized that this would be something that is looking forward to achieving all the goals the workers want to benefit from in the space of the next 5 years. Now, the chairperson, Federation of Uganda Employers, Dr. Silva Mugisha, said that the issue of informal sector is a great concern to the employment sector. While the national chairman, National Organization of Trade Unions, Musa Okello, expressed the need for establishment of the Labour Appeal Court, the day was also commemorated under the theme Improving Access to Labour Justice, a prerequisite to increased productivity. Now, away from that, the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Anita Ann Ambong, has urged members of Parliament from various African countries to stand firm and disassociate from Western influence, which aims at violating African values. This was during her speech presented by the Minister for General Duties in the Office of the Prime Minister, Honourable Justin Kasule Lumumba, at the official opening of the Second African Interparliamentary Conference on Family Values and Sovereignty, which was held in Entebbe. Now, Uganda yet again hosted the Second Interparliamentary Conference, which aims at reflecting and discussing the Entebbe Declaration that was adopted last year to protect Africa from second recolonization of our values and culture. The legislators from African countries have been tasked to scrutinize the treaties and international commitments on agreements as people's representatives to ensure that they are in line to avoid further contradictions. Now, the three-day engagement aims at reaffirming African cultural values, and the parliamentarians expect to share ideas that will strengthen in averting cultural colonialism through legislation and move towards an African protocol of protection of families and African cultures. Now, elsewhere, the government of Uganda, through the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited, has taken over the power supply responsibility in 9 districts, which were formerly supplied by a private entity of Kyegegwa Rural Electricity Cooperative Society Limited. The move intends to accelerate government program of the Universal Reliable Power Supply for economic transformation. After 10 years of operating in the Central Service Territory, the concession of Kyegegwa Rural Electricity Cooperative Society Limited concluded. Now, a government resolution prohibits the renewal of any private power supply contracts. The Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited, a government power distribution agency, has further assumed immediate control of the operations of the Kyegegwa Rural Electricity Cooperative Society Limited. This move aligns with the government's efforts to implement National Development Plan 3, particularly focusing on industrialization with a reliable power supply. Now, when you look at it, the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited, the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited also is tasked with expanding electricity connections and fulfilling all ongoing and pending inherited operations. Now, in addition to infrastructure responsibilities, the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited has absorbed CREX workers to prevent employment crisis. Well, now, lastly, from local scene this morning, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni will, over the weekend, preside over the closing session of 8-day patriotic training at Oliver Tambo Leadership School, Kaweweta, for Kampala Metropolitan border operators and leaders. A section of these operators have received open arms this training, with many referring to it as a changing opportunity or a changing point of their lives. These are sounds of a section of borders and leaders undertaking patriotic lectures at Oliver Tambo Leadership School in Kaweweta. And the over 300 cyclists are from 5 divisions of Kampala and Wakiso district. With 5 days spent at Kaweweta, many have started testifying to be already seeing the light. Now, also, the 7-day training will conclude on Saturday, 4th May 2024, with the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, expected to officiate the final day or the closure ceremony of this training. And well, of course, that is it from local scene this morning here on Good Morning Uganda. But elsewhere, across the borders of Uganda, we also have some news gathered for you that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours, with which we will start with the state of Arizona, as Arizona's Senate has voted to repeal an 1864 law banning abortion. The last major push in the Democrat-led efforts to erase the law from state books. Now, 2 Republicans joined Senate Democrats to support the repeal bill, which narrowly passed the House last week. Governor Kate Hobbs, a Democrat, held the result and is due to formalize the removal of the law. The pre-statehood law bars abortion from the moment of conception, with no exceptions for rape or incest. It was revived last month after Arizona's top court ruled the ban could be enforced following the U.S. Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade in June 2022, a landmark ruling which reinstated the nationwide right to abortion. The decision unleashed an uproar across the country where voters broadly support abortion access and galvanized efforts to put an abortion question on the ballot in November, which would further expand rights in the state. All right, now the Office of California's governor has criticized the police response to violence on campus at the University of California in Los Angeles. And a masked pro-Israel group assaulted a pro-Palestinian student camp before officers were called to the campus. Governor Gavin Newsom's spokesperson said that the limited and delayed police intervention was rather unacceptable, as hundreds of police officers were on campus and around the perimeter on Wednesday. Now, the state officials and the university leaders further say they immediately deployed security personnel to the tent camp on Dixon Plaza when clashes erupted just before midnight on Tuesday. But several people on site said law enforcement did not act quickly enough. And now we head to Nigeria, because Nigeria has raised salaries for civil servants between 25% and 35% amid to help them cope with the rising cost of living. Now, the lowest paid government employee will now earn $324, that is approximately 258 pounds a year, according to what the reports have been suggesting. Now, police and military officers are among state workers who are set to benefit from the pay rise, which will be backdated to January. Now, the announcement came on the eve of Wednesday's Workers' Day holiday. However, the rate of inflation is currently more than 30%, which is the highest figure in nearly 3 decades. Now, the cost of food has risen even more by 35%, according to the latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics. So the pay rises mean the salaries for civil servants stay roughly the same in real terms, what it can buy in the shops and the markets. Now, pensions for those workers who benefit were also increased between 20% and 28%. The National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission further revealed. Now, lastly, we talk matters climate, because climate change is pushing some New York City neighborhoods into dozens of nearly day-long blackouts per year, a new study has found, as large swaths of the state's principal towns and cities face repeated, protracted and dangerous weather-driven power outages between 2017 and 2020, according to findings published Wednesday in the Public Library of Science. The risk to the grid is rising as more frequent extreme weather knocks down power lines. It damages transformers and threatens the stability of the grid. And this is the first author, Nina Flores, a doctoral student at Columbia's Mailmine School of Public Health, further revealed. Now, also, understanding what communities are most affected by these outages can help policymakers shore up the electrical system and prepare contingency plans, she revealed. Now, researchers found that the several neighborhoods in Queens had more than 100 outages over the 3-year period, 147 in Jamaica, 138 in Flushing, and 104 in Richmond Hills. All right, now back home here in Uganda, because the front pages of our dailies are highlighting great reports also. And as we're getting into our press review, we'll start off with what the New Vision is highlighting for you this morning, something that you can choose to kickstart off your day, because in the New Vision, Speaker Among says Among has no assets in the UK, says the New Vision. The UK announced sanctions against the Speaker of Parliament, Speaker Among, and ex-ministers Goreti Chitutu and Agnes Nandutu, who were at the center of the Iron Sheet saga, You can find more of that story in today's New Vision. 7 days to go to the census. Countdown continues. Diplomacy. U.S. support for Uganda to continue, says the U.S. envoy to the country. Now, workers' unions petition president over exploitation, as President Museveni directs employers on casual workers. A pictorial of some of the medalists with President Museveni, inclusive of Dr. Ruth Aisha Binzika, at the front page of the New Vision today. Now, members of parliament approved loan for Kidepo Road. That is 450 billion from the Standard Chartered Bank to finance the upgrading of Kitgum Kidepo Road. The motion was presented by Minister Henry Musasizi. You can find more of that still with the New Vision today. Now, donation. President Museveni contributes 1.3 billion for Matters Day. Find more details of that in the New Vision today. As districts probed over census jobs, security agencies across the country probing the recruitment of enumerators and supervisors for the upcoming national census following reports that it was marred by controversies. Now, the Daily Monitor says hire staff on permanent terms. Museveni directs in his speech during the Labour Day celebrations a pictorial of President Museveni with some of the pupils that took part of the presentations in Fort Portal at the Mukabura grounds. Now, the big names behind Uganda's coffee exports, read about them. Who are they? Where are they from? And how far have they been in the journey of exporting Ugandan coffee? Then DM today in the Daily Monitor says, on the road with the big boys, how to stay safe with the continuous struggles of Ugandans and their fear every time they encounter some of those big trucks on the road following various accidents that have been happening within the country. Now, people with hearing impairment demand interpreters in hospital. Interesting report there. We head to Kenya now because the Daily Nation is highlighting Labour Day. Good news as President Ruto orders 6% minimum wage increase for workers. Ruto is firm on taxes and doctors' pay. A summary of what the President of Kenya revealed in his speech to the Kenyans during the Labour Day celebrations. Now, marooned, roads closed and homes underwater as the floods continue to wreak havoc in Kenya. Then also, graft, Yatani fails to block East Africa. Yatani fails to block the EACC's 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings corruption probe as hope wanes for missing victims of Mahiu flooding. Now, lastly, from our press review, Tanzania, south of Uganda, no salary raise yet, but all is not lost, the Citizen is highlighting. This is coming in from the Labour Day celebration after Samia Suluhu Hassan promised to continue keeping an eye on global economic and before making on supply has also been highlighted. Then business financing, first ever green bond for water developed over subscribed, says the Citizen this particular morning. So that is something that you can think about in our press review today. Well, today is Thursday. I don't know what you are throwing back to because quite a number of things. If I'm to throw back a little bit, I would choose to remind you that during the time when the month was just starting, back in my childhood days, there were lots of excitement, especially at school, because we knew that the term was also coming closer to an end. And every time you would start, let's say, first term in February, and then a new month arises, that is around a new month of March, let's say, or April. There was a lot of excitement because we knew we were getting closer to the end of term examinations, which were indicative of the fact that we shall be heading for first term holidays. Now, it's a new month of May and it's holiday time, you can imagine. So, well, as the children return back home, this is a song that will be inspiring your mornings. A throwback song for Inspirational Thursday, and this is a song dubbed Never Say Never from Justin Bieber featuring Jaden Smith. When we return after the break, we focus on the president's speech and the Labor Day celebrations in Fort Portal. But first, our inspirational song. Good morning.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda. This is Good Morning Uganda.
And I want to assume, or I probably want to believe that we are all geared up for this particular new month. The energy has to be right. And obviously, we also left with 7 days to Census Night. Just to quickly remind you, by the way, that Census Night is 9th of May 2024. And 10th May will be a public holiday. Why is that so? Because it will be a time for the census to be conducted by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. And of course, we need to be part of the census. Why? To help the government do the accountability that is highly necessary. But well, aside from that, yesterday in Fort Portal, of course, many different trade organizations and trade union, that is the National Organization of Trade Union, that is NOTU, which was among the chief hosts of this particular year celebrations of Labor Day. Yesterday, all the celebrations were in Fort Portal, the tourism city, and well, you get to realize that quite a number of things were highlighted, and of which later on along the journey here on the show, we shall be taking you back a little bit to the president's speech during that, the president's address to the nation during the Labor Day celebrations in Uganda. And of course, just to quickly take you back a little bit, is that the theme for this year was improving access to labor justice, a prerequisite for improved productivity. So in your workspaces as you return today, because yesterday being a public holiday, you get to realize that many people were not working, apart from the self-employed Ugandans, but it was also very, it would have been of good use if I told you also utilize such a day to only work half day and try to also get some rest and celebrate the efforts that you end up putting in your day-to-day life. But also, besides that, President Museveni met Nebi clergy and contributed 1.3 billion Ugandan shillings for Matters Day. This was in a meeting on just before Labor Day, on the last day of the month of April. This was when President Museveni did meet the clergy from Nebi Catholic Diocese, of course, which is the organizing committee for this year's Matters Day celebrations on 3rd June. So we are only left with 30 days to also get into 3rd June for the preparations of that. Now, this meetup of the president with the clergy from Nebi was at State House in Entebbe. That was on the eve of Labor Day, before the president obviously traveled to Fort Portal to celebrate with the Ugandan workers, to celebrate with, of course, all those in the employment world, the employers and employees, not only those are best in Uganda, but pretty much also looking at those that are best away from Uganda, or what we could call the migrant workers in that regard. But obviously, we are here on Thursday, the 2nd of May, to make sure that we give you news, and not only from the local scene, but also from the international scene. Lots of things have been happening, lots of news and information has been making rounds, and it will definitely be doing me so good for me to share with you what has been making headlines, first from the local scene, as you sit back and get your morning inspired, gearing up for your new day of being optimistic about making more money on such a Thursday. But away from that, let's dive into what we've gathered for you from the
was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. the signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial star 165 star 5 hash for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Juko.
Yo.
Chikuwa. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that.
Okay.
The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Taking care of your bones is like giving your body a solid foundation for a healthy and active life. And now, let's dive into practical advice that you can...
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
All right, it's good to have your company here on Good Morning Uganda, and we are off to our newsreel this very morning. We have 3 minutes off the hour of 7 o'clock. It's great to be having you here. 2nd of May 2024 is the date of our Thursday today. Yesterday was a public holiday, 1st of May. And we are going to be throwing back a little bit to events that happened just a few hours back on a Thursday like this. One focus is going to be on some of the key highlights of the speeches or the many presentations that were made during the celebrations of Labour's Day 2024 at the Mukabura grounds in Fort Portal. With what we've gathered for you, we do have keynote speeches coming in from Honourable Peace Motuzo, Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, and then also the State Minister for Labour, Honourable Esther Anyakun, who is also part of these particular speeches that we are going to share with you this morning. Then also, not to forget the Fountain of Honour. We will as well give you a highlight of some of the key takeaways from President Yoweri Museveni's speech yesterday, just to try to focus on what was really highlighted for the workers. As you return to your workspaces, this is something that you really need to focus on, and also, buy the confidence or get more confident that the government is going to be working on some of the grievances that were highlighted by the laborers, or that were highlighted by the various workers' representatives that were down in Fort Portal yesterday during the Labor Day celebrations on 1st of May. And well, of course, as we kickstart off our newsroom, we shall start with Honorable Peace Mutuzo, who was addressing many of the residents of Fort Portal, but at the same time, the Ugandans who were as well celebrating Labour's Day.
Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Right Honourable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice, the Vice Chairman, the National Resistance Movement, colleague members of Parliament, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, heads of missions, religious leaders, I am pleased to welcome you to these International Labour celebrations here at Mubukara grounds, Fort Portal Tourism City. Your Excellency, I wish to take this opportunity to welcome all distinguished dignitaries here with us who have managed to make it from far and near to grace this very important occasion. Your Excellency, the theme for today's celebrations is improving access to labor justice, a prerequisite for increased productivity. The choice for this theme was very strategic, in that it helps all of us to reflect on acknowledging and addressing the obstacles that prevent workers from seeking redress for grievances and disputes in the workplace. This also includes redressing the required employers on matters of related to their businesses and organizations for workplace in general. Therefore, fair and effective mechanisms for resolving disputes and grievances in the workplace, which in turn contributes to increased productivity and economic growth, are prime on our agenda. Your Excellency, I'd wish to thank in a very special way the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and the National Organizing Committee for organizing this very beautiful function. I also wish to thank Fort Portal Tourism City for hosting us in these beautiful grounds that we had never held big celebrations, that is so spacious, accommodative, and beautifully placed. I would wish to thank the exhibitors for showing case what the laborers are capable of doing and things which are manufactured and done here in Uganda. That shows the level of preparedness for industrialization. I would wish to thank the media for the huge publicity they have given us for almost 2 weeks. I'd also wish to thank the Federation of Workers and Employers for the input they have made, not only for these successful celebrations, but for making life easy to access employment and also to discuss with the employers. We want to thank all our guests. And as we thank all our guests, I would wish to recognize specifically those who have been able to make it here today. Your Excellency, Her Excellency the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, the one and only one, Major Retired Jessica Alupo Apel, is here with us. Your Excellency, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Thomas Tayebwa, is physically here in person. Your Excellency, the Vice Chairperson of the NRM Mighty Party, Alhaji Moses Chigongo, is here in person. Your Excellency, Justice Lydia and Linda Tosime, the judge, the Workers' Court is here in person.
Well, there you have it from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Just a simple correction. She's the Minister of State for Gender and Culture, but still under the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Honorable Peace Motuzo, who was welcoming all those who travelled to Fort Portal, welcoming the President, various workers' representatives in Fort Portal. Also, to remind you, she's the woman representative for Bunyangabu district. She was as well welcoming the many that travelled to Fort Portal to the region of Toro Kingdom. And you get to realize that in her speech, she was also emphasizing on the fact that on such a day, it is a day for us to re-emphasize on the fact that the employees, employers, and all the workers in general should take a day like Labor Day very important, simply because it is a day to celebrate their efforts and to fully celebrate them as workers world over, and not only in Uganda. But besides that, when you also look at the other keynote speeches that we do have for you this particular morning, one includes a speech from the State Minister for Labour, Honorable Esther Nyakun, who revealed that the ministry is coming up with a national strategy, and a national employment strategy, which is DAP 2023-2028, and it's undertaking a number of initiatives that are to address issues of workers like lack of protective gears. When you look at some of the grievances that were shared by the different workers' representatives, many of those in the working environments lack quite a number of safety gears, protective gears, and quite a number of things. But first, let's have a look at what she managed to share with the many people that showed up at the Mukabura grounds yesterday.
Your Excellency, heads of diplomatic missions, honorable members of parliament, the religious leaders, Anyako, Kun, Davinia, Minister of State for Labour, Employment and Industrial Relations. Before I start my statement, allow me to request Your Excellency and everyone here to stand and observe a moment of silence for our departed colleague, the late Honorable Charles Singola Machodogo, who passed on a day after Labor Day celebration last year. May his soul rest in eternal peace. On behalf of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, I welcome you all to this National Labour celebration at Mukabura grounds, Fort Portal. I extend special welcome to Your Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, and thank you for gracing the celebration with your grace and presence despite your busy schedules. Your Excellency, I humbly express my gratitude to your continued commitment for honoring Labor Day celebration. Your consistent presence to this celebration is a testimony to the value and significance you place on contributions of workers and our country. We also commend you for your efforts in safeguarding the lives of Ugandans, including the workers. Today, we gather here to celebrate the remarkable contribution of workers, both past and present, whose sacrifice, achievements have shaped our country's identity and progress. The numerous achievements we have seen in public and private sector, such as the airport, roads, water systems, power dams, mushrooming housing estates, urban centers, the factories, and modern farms. They are all because of the workers who toil day in, day out. We honor and celebrate your work, dedication, and unwavering commitment. This moment calls for reflection on the strides we have made in enhancing labor conditions and renewing our pledge to guarantee fair treatment and opportunities for all workers. This year's Labor Day is celebrated under the theme, Improving Access to Labor Justice, a prerequisite for increased productivity. Your Excellency, we endeavor to enhance access to labor justice. We acknowledge the challenges of joblessness, particularly among the youth. The Ministry is actively engaged in implementing a number of achievements and the initiatives to address the pressing challenges. I will highlight a few of these initiatives. The General Growth Opportunities and Productivity for Women Enterprise, the GROW project. This is the project which is funded by the World Bank, which you launched in March 2023 at Sanga. The initiative provides a comprehensive package for service, including skilling, mentorship, business development services, access to finance, and common user facilities to over 60,000 women-owned enterprises. At the moment, we have scaled up implementing, and also women entrepreneurs across the country have started receiving support to incubate their business ideas, obtain certification of exports, and access crucial business development services. In June, we will be unveiling the Women Entrepreneurs Credit Facility, where they will borrow between Uganda shillings 4 million to 200 million at an interest of 10% per annum. This initiative is expected to spur the growth of women and entrepreneurs, leading to the creation of both direct and indirect employment opportunities. Apprenticeship program is a strategic labor initiative where graduates and non-graduates are placed at workplace to get on-job training and practical experience to equip them to skill needed and to secure employment or embark on entrepreneurial ventures. Your Excellency, you may recall that in 2018, you directed the ministry fast-tracks the implementation of the apprenticeship scheme in key sector of the economy. I'm pleased to report to you that we have successfully piloted apprenticeship scheme in the hotel industry in financial and technical support in international from International Labour Organization. In December 2022, 94% apprentices completed level 1 certificate training, with 68, that is 72% of them getting employment on completion of due to relevance of skills they acquired. Another batch of 200 apprentices are currently undergoing training in 62 hotels under the second phase of the pilot. In addition, Enabel, the Belgium Development Organization, is supporting the ministry to scale up apprenticeship in hotel industry in Albertine and Rwenzori sub-region, where 750 apprentices will train in this program. Your Excellency, we seek your support in securing additional funding to roll out this impactful scaling model to other sectors of the economy.
Mr. Anyekun there highlighting quite a number of issues, and one of them I pick out is the fact that with the initiatives that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, what they are throwing into the basket currently is to ensure that, one, they skill the young people, training, and all of this is to make sure that we curb the high levels of unemployment in the country. Because as much as we are talking about celebrating celebrating workers and laborers, this is something that you also need, to notice that we also have high levels of unemployment, and that is an issue that the government continues to put efforts and to try to, putting out various initiatives to make sure that the young people get involved in these various government initiatives and programs in order to curb unemployment and also lead to tremendous wealth creation. And on that particular point, the chief guest of the day, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who also addressed many of the people in Fort Portal. And some of the key highlights from the president was the fact that many of that our issue here in Uganda is not jobs or lack of jobs, but the lack of vision. Because he did reveal that when he came into power since in 1986, since that time he has been preaching the message of wealth creation, but through commercial agriculture. And he further re-emphasized that if we, the young people, put a lot of effort in commercial agriculture, then the levels of unemployment wouldn't be a very huge concern as it is today. And it would be something that we would look at to also increase our chances of creating wealth as a country. But he also further noted that the ministry should as well work on the issue to do with the markets that were created by the government for the financially struggling Ugandans to earn a living from them. And to the president, a lot of information has actually been reaching to the president that many of the rich people are taking advantage of the weaker, poor people in the country who are, and then taking control over these markets, something that the president also cited as unfair and should be put to an end. Why not? Let's first have what the president did highlight in his speech to the Ugandans during the Labour's Day celebrations yesterday.
That's why I never included tea in my documents of recommendation. Because nyoti likumara gatomera. Whatever I recommend for my people in writing, I don't just talk, I put in writing. I recommended the 7 activities for the poor people: coffee, fruits, dairy, food crop for the home, cassava, bananas, whatever, poultry for eggs, piggery, and fish farming. This is what I recommended in writing, not just talking, no. I looked at tea and I put it in another category. These 7 activities were all in the category of intensive agriculture, using a small area to get good income. Now Nyakana was saying that when he heard my message, because of the lack of vision of the society, because of lack of guidance, abebembezi bali aho tubereke bakumanya leader nabone empumi. So Nyakana was saying that by the time he heard my message, he no longer had 4 acres because the land had been fragmented because of indisciplined, visionless inheritance practices. Abantu nibagweta batene kibakoranze mu maiso. But when he had my message, he no longer had 4 acres. He had only 1.2 acres. Therefore, out of my 7 active enterprises, he only decided to do 2. A few dairy cows and eggs, hens for eggs. And because of that, he's now, after you remove costs, each month he makes a profit of 16 million. And in a year, he makes a profit of 180 million from 1 acre now. And he's employing 10 people permanent, 5 part-time. That is 15. So when I was sitting here, there, and hearing all the stories I was hearing, I decided to get my calculator. And I know that Uganda has got arable land of 40 million acres. Now, what Nyakana is doing is what I advised them to do: intensive agriculture.
Uganda has joined the global community in commemorating International Labour Day in Fort Portal. This year's celebrations occur amidst ongoing challenges faced by workers, including poor working conditions and inadequate pay. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development will prioritize establishing fair and effective mechanisms for resolving workplace disputes. During the event in Fort Portal, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni reiterated that the core challenge lies in attitude rather than job availability. He emphasized his advocacy for the 4-acre model, stressing that job creation stems from wealth creation.
Therefore, when you are talking to you people, start with the wealth creation. How can we make it easy for wealth, modern type of wealth, not the traditional type? Obugago w'obujaja nedda webuli bwaliwo naye kati twetaaga obujaja obugago obw'omulembe.
President Museveni directed the Ministry of Local Government through the Vice President to address the issue of affluent individuals occupying markets intended for the less privileged.
The markets which we built have been taken over by the parasites. The rich people have taken over the markets and displaced the Banaku who were selling in those areas before we built the markets. That's a big issue, which I directed the Vice President who is here to take up with the Minister of Local Government. This one I heard about before. Obutale bwa Banaku. So this one definitely we shall take it up and investigate it, and we are going to chase those corrupt people.
State Minister for Labour, Esther Anyikun, highlighted the ministry's efforts in developing a national employment strategy for 2023-2028 and implementing initiatives to tackle worker issues such as the lack of protective gears.
He is expected to guide creation of more and better employment opportunities. Your Excellency, this strategy will be brought to Cabinet for approval. This comes at a time when we are witnessing unethical business practices among some employees that violate the rights of the workers. Case of unfair dismissal, unpaid wages, and safe working conditions are prevalent. The Labor Force Survey 2021 reports that many workers, particularly vulnerable groups such as women, youth, and formal sectors workers, are exposed to various forms of abuses and injustice. Only 23% of the workers have access to protective gears, leading to high number of accidents and injuries.
Dr. Silva Mugisha, chairperson of the Federation of Uganda Employers, expressed concern over the informal sector's impact on employment.
As you may be aware, Your Excellency, decent work goes beyond just having a job, to include protection of rights at work, social dialogue, and social protection. However, majority of the work in this informal economy is insecure, poorly paid, and often unsafe, and therefore absence of decent work.
Meanwhile, Musa Okello, national chairman of the National Organization of Trade Unions, emphasized the necessity of establishing a labor appellate court.
Workers of Uganda are happy about the roles of this specialized court. Whereas it is not a court of original jurisdiction but only handles cases after referral, the court averagely records 2,950 cases per year. This has created a backlog of over 3,000 cases and a judge case log of over 1,294 cases annually. Your Excellency, sir, this situation is worsened by the lack of required number of judges at the industrial court.
No further, the cause is limited access to labor justice.
The day was commemorated under the theme, Improving Access to Labor Justice, a Prerequisite to Increased Productivity. Justin Nakami, Farida Nafuka, UBC News.
Well, for all of you who were following the proceedings yesterday in Fort Portal, you get to realize that just to take you a little bit in what the president highlighted, by the way, he did reveal, if you've listened very carefully, that only the things he has been recommending in writing should be really prioritized, or should as well be taken seriously, because he shared that some of the things he has been sharing with with the country behind the 4-acre model, that is something that is highly focusing on wealth creation. He did say that he has been giving Ugandans the 7 items to focus on. One is coffee, or growing of coffee, growing of fruits, and of course this is also targeting commercial agriculture, and then also growing of food crops. Growing of food crops, one for personal consumption and then also for sale. He did also highlight dairy, or engaging in dairy activities, then poultry, piggery, and then fish farming. So he highlighted these particular ones, and of course shared a success story of one of the people who picked up from the president's message, who benefited by taking only 2 out of these 7 items. And of course encouraging the young people to pick up from the same in regards to creating wealth in the long run. He did of course highlight the fact that there is always room for more wealth creation through inheritance, but that is not something that we should focus on, however much it has been there since time immemorial. But also creating personal wealth and creating various ventures to grow wealth is something that we should prioritize. Now, along the way, you get to also realize that we also had quite a number of representatives there in Fort Portal, including the Executive Director of the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, including the head of the Industrial Court. We also had the head of, the Executive Director of the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, that is Dr. Chris Mukiza, who was on ground. Then Justice Linda Lillian Mugisha, who is the head of the Industrial Court of Uganda. She was as well there. We also had Douglas Opio, the President Federation of Uganda Employers, representing. We had, the entire Secretariat and leaders of NOTU in Fort Portal as well. The Right Honorable Deputy Speaker to Parliament was also in presence. And of course, when you look at the parades, quite a number of government agencies took charge in in the parade sessions. The Uganda Prisons, Uganda Police, SFC, Uganda Wildlife Authority, and then we also had the UPDF among us, the parade sessions that you are able to see as well yesterday during the celebrations in Fort Portal at the Mukabura grounds. And of course, the theme for this year was improving access to labor justice, a prerequisite for improved productivity. That if you give an employee the justice and respect their rights, it gives them the advantage to increase it. It gives them the advantage to do their jobs right, and of course, at the end of it all, or at the end of the value chain, you're increasing productivity. Now, as we're summing up with our newsreel this morning, just to quickly remind you of that on Sunday, the 5th of May, at Wankulukuku, here in here in Kampala. You will be part or take charge and be part of the Omusomo Gwomulongo Babirye Sara at a fee of 10,000 Ugandan shillings. Omusomo Gwomulongo Babirye Sara eno Sunday ku kisaawe ewankulukuku nga 5 May okuyingira omutwalo gumu eri bonna abaagala okwetaba mu musomo guno. And well, that is it from our newsreel this morning. Coming up is Allen Namisango, who is going to taking us to a ride of exploring Uganda in the Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express. So stick around and have a blast. Later on, I will return with business updates. Good morning.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Juko.
Yo.
What you Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Joko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back to the GMU Tourism Express. We are still in Uwek and having that experiential tourism, like getting so close to the wildlife, getting so close to the different species that call Uwek a beautiful haven. And we are meeting the rhinos today. Did you know that you can only spot rhinos here at Uwek and then Zua Rhino Sanctuary? Those are the only two places in the country where you can spot the rhinos. One thing that has just amazed me right now is that rhinos can actually weigh from 1.8 tons. I mean tons to 2.5 tons. Imagine, I think I weigh about 47 kilograms, but a rhino weighs up to 1.8 tons. That is amazing. So here we are, and we are getting close to the rhinos with Ainesh. He's still taking us around and he's going to tell us more things interesting about the rhinos.
My name is Aine Magara. I'm well, and I'm a zookeeper here at Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center. And
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwao.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Professional guidance.
There is no special antiretroviral therapy that is given specifically for discordant couples.
And of course, politics.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for Anita Mong and Tayemo?
That is laughable. Why would we pay when we have nominated them as SEC?
Every party has been represented in Uganda's parliament for 10 years. We only
by one MP, you yourself.
And my daughter, Susan.
Every Friday 9 p.m. it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa on UCTV, inspiring Uganda.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms. Did you know that our number one value as a nation is to respect and protect the environment? With the current population increase of Uganda and industrialization, this has increased pressure on the natural resources, resulting into environmental degradation and global warming. Developing countries like Uganda could face 80% of the global climate change effects by the year 2030 if no action is taken. Join us here on UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda, on our Eco Plus program, where we bring you an in-depth analysis of issues that are disastrous to our environment. Every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. only on your loved station, the National Broadcaster.
107.3, Kampala 96.9, Mbale 95.7, Jinja 98.6, Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Butebo.
Yikwadola winikune. Asoka muliyo. Atekeri naite saibi jasesi.
UBC Butebo.
Junko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange. Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Men, 70 people with disabilities, and 110 youth.
170 beneficiaries who have already benefited. Twine PWDs 70. Twine youth 110. Though abo baka benefitingira bakafunira sente.
Our business range from poultry keeping to purchasing land and paying school fees, particularly for single mothers and even constructing homes. We are making significant progress.
Projekti y'emyoga yetu ya mbere kubanga batubatire sente tukaba tutakunera kutunga bwangu tubatandikisa obusubuzi obukebuke betu hati nituyimukira mu mpora nitugenda mu maiso kandi kisobozeseza abamu kusasula fizi no kukora obuntu obwamaka gaitu obukebuke okugura embuzi kubombeka obuju Nyo hanatandikire zikubakate miliyoni yemu ne mitwaro nkaga tuli bantu mukaga
kati no group twajihandikisa myuga batuhereza sente kuba zituhire natandika nakozesa mpola kagira nko kukanyama nko kumukureba omudara akubanye n'omwana wanje nasoma nimfunaho rent India inywa kandi na n'omudara gwanje gumaho ndi kukora nguzire hembuzi ibiri naguraho na nebuntu byanje bishatu mbine yo mu cyaro nibirya
buriyo na project ya gukora kandi nisoya obutukwa nteka kusasura itwe nsasura kurunga
We are 6 women. We started our business of a nursery bed and have so far run it for 4.5 years. We started a circle and would get money out and keep sharing. After accumulating enough money, we started to buy seedlings and plant trees. The little would get would pay school fees for our children as women. Personally, I am also educating my grandchildren. One is in senior 4 and the other is in senior 1.
Omu kamuhicha msinia ya kana, omu hati alipizi msinia 1.
.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Butego.
Yikwa dola wini kune. Abasoka muliyo. Atekeri na itesa ibija sesi.
UBC Butego.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachikuwa.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange. Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back from the break, and it's time for us to go into the world of business, and many thanks for sticking around to Good Morning Uganda. Now, from the business world, we start off with the Chibale Magistrates Court and the Uganda Coffee Development Authority officials in conjunction with the security organs that have burnt over 10 bags of premature coffee beans that were impounded, and culprits have been sentenced to jail. Earlier this month, the officials from the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, in conjunction with the Chibale Police, conducted an operation to crack down both harvesting and trading immature and premature coffee in Chibale district. During the operation, the Chibale police detained George Nsereko, who is a coffee dealer from Masindi district operating in Chitutu Trading Center, that is in Karama sub-county, who was found with over 10 sacks of immature coffee valued at over 40 million Ugandan shillings. Really sad for Uganda's coffee industry and those who are the coffee players, because as much as we're looking at the quality of coffee that needs to be exported, such things are in the things we would wish to have, and such news is in the news that we would want to be sharing on such a Thursday. And now, away from that, the host community of socio-economic projects aimed at improving the living conditions of refugees and nationals has been launched in Kamwenge district. The World Bank did launch this at the cost of 24 billion shillings, funding the project that include a modern market, a taxi park, 2 resource centers, and a sports complex on top of it. Judith Nabakova, the Minister for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, officiated at the launch of the community projects, urging the beneficiaries to ensure proper maintenance of these facilities. Now, Kamwenge district, under which the Ramwanja refugee settlement falls, hosts over 100,000 foreigners, excluding with very low levels of social and economic levels. Now, through the World Bank's refugee window, the several facilities, including resource centers and community halls, market stalls, and a taxi park have been built for the residents. Judith Nabakoba, the Minister for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, officiated the launch of the multiple projects which are funded by the World Bank at a cost of 24 billion shillings. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Frank Tumwebaze, called upon the refugee and host community in Kamwenge to accelerate on diversifying their farming activities in order to reap incomes from these investments. And according to the Kamwenge Woman Member of Parliament, Slivia Bahairera, these facilities are expected to enable women get involved in the agribusiness sector and earn more incomes through trading in better environments. Now, the Kamwenge Local Council 5 Chairperson Joseph Karungi lauded the Uganda support to Municipal Infrastructure Development Program, USMID, for rather enabling the district expand on its asset stock, saying it's a prerequisite for development. Now, Kamwenge joins Kiriadongo, Yumbe, Adjumani, Moyo, Madi Okolo, Arua, Terego, Obonji, Lamo and Isinjiro, endorsed by governments as refugee hosting districts, but implementing the $60 million World Bank infrastructure projects under USMID. Now, elsewhere, downtown labourers business in downtown Kampala shows a normal atmosphere as traders have opened up their shops for businesses amidst the International Labour Day celebration. Now, some of the traders dealing in hardware revealed that most of them decided to work on such days in order to meet their demands, and they could not honor the Labour Day celebrations. Now, also following the jubilant observation of the International Labour Day celebration on every 1st May, which does celebrate the achievements of workers in various fields, some of the other traders were sharing reasons as to why they don't take part of these celebrations even when they occur. Now, the International Labour Day celebration was celebrated under the theme Improving Access to Labour Justice, a prerequisite for increased productivity in Fort Portal District at the Mokabura grounds. All right, and that is it from our business updates this morning. We now took a focus on what the Forex market was like, courtesy of the Bank of Uganda, for those that will be moving out to trade some currencies or to exchange some currencies. Now, looking at what the US dollar was buying at by the opening time yesterday, it was buying at 3,765 while selling at 3,865 shillings. Then by closing rather, the Great Britain pound was buying at 1,233, 1,233. Oh, sorry. The US dollar was buying at 3,765 shillings while selling at 3,865 shillings. And the Great Britain pound was buying at 4,670 while selling at 4,891 shillings. That is closing time. The euro was buying at 3,990 shillings while selling at 4,179 shillings. And then the Kenyan shilling was buying at 27.61 shillings while selling at 28.92 shillings. Well, that is how you will find the various currencies faring. Now, coming up shortly after, I'll give you a little bit of the traffic updates and how you can maneuver through some of the traffic situations in Kampala. Stick. you through some of traffic updates this particular morning. Right here standing at the Kalere roundabout as you're moving along to the Kalere market, and for those who are moving along the same route of Mulago coming to the city. Now, around the Kalere roundabout, you'll realize these green spots that are indicative of a smooth flow of traffic from the same spot. That is Kalere roundabout. Those are for the people who are using the Gayaza route and also coming to the capital using the Kalere route. Around Kalere market, you'll find no traffic interjections in there or interruptions at the same. Then moving forward, you get to realize that from the same route, that is the Gayaza Kampala road, there is not so much of the traffic or any traffic sort of standstill. So it is a smooth run from there. But however, moving close to the Freedom Apartments, that is after the Gayaza Road, as you're moving closer to the Synagogue Church of All Nations, and as you're moving closer to also Mulago Hospital, you get to realize that from there is some bit of traffic holdup for those using the route, those using the Kampala Gayaza Road. You'll get to realize that there's a little bit of traffic congestion with the red signs, which are indicative of a little bit of the traffic standstill from there. And then for those who are using the Synagogue Church of Nations route, and for those that are using Bombo Road heading to Gayaza Road or heading to Kavule, you get to realize that Bombo Road is not having tight traffic as this morning. Only for those who are actually using Bombo Road to come to the capital, the ones that will face some few standstills because of the traffic lights, or rather because of the traffic jam. Then moving from the Synagogue Church of Nations close to the Bina Isa Road, there is some traffic standstill in the same area there. So you'll find some difficulties moving about simply because of there is an indication that the traffic in there has already heat up, or the traffic jam from the same has already heat up. And then also moving close to the Mulago roundabout from the Dualilo Road, then moving to the Twin Center. Around there is a lot of traffic standstill, or that means that you will be a little delayed for those that are heading to Kampala. But from there, you can easily see, besides the Bina Isa Road, still having some of a huge traffic standstill for those that are moving to Kampala from the same area. And away from that, just to take you through some of the traffic updates as well. For those that will, cross from Bina Isa Road, use the Mulago roundabout, and then move along to Wandegea, there is a smooth flow of traffic there, so you won't be interrupted by any sort of traffic jam, as well as you're moving close to Kampala from there in down to the capital. But of course, along the way, the Bina Isa Road, you get to realize that there is a little bit of standstill that you will actually encounter along the National Drug Authority Quality Laboratory, and then moving close to Yusuf Lule Road, where there will at least be a little bit of a smooth ride for you to Kampala. Well, that's it from traffic updates this morning. Stick around. We have more conversations coming along with our DMU agenda. Good morning.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? Wesotinge. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Juko. Yo. What you check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
We are 6 women. We started our business of a nursery bed and have so far run it for 4.5 years. We started a circle and would get money out and keep sharing. After accumulating enough money, we started to buy seedlings and plant trees. The little would get would pay school fees for our children as women. Personally, I am also educating my grandchildren. One is in senior 4 and the other is in senior 1.
hati alipizi msinia 1.
.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Butego.
Yikwa dola wini kune. Awasonga mulio. Atekeri na itesa ibija sesi.
UBC Butego.
Banza kusima Muzeyi Museveni Tibuhabuga Babyface.
I want to start by thanking Muzeyi Museveni Tibuhaburwa Babyface for what he has done for us. He got us from the villages when we were stuck because he saw we didn't have what to do. Right now, we are in Toro Zonal Hub, the one that trains the young generation.
Tumusima sitine bugarukiro. Ezeshaha Tudio muri Toro Zonal Hub project ya Muzeyi eyatiro kwegesa itwe ensinganto. Nyoyo ndi carpenter.
I am now a carpenter and we do chairs, beds, doors and everything else that is found in the furniture world.
Tubanza kusima bashomesa bitu abitwine.
We want to thank our teachers. They have done a good job imparting skills to us. to see that we do such things, yet we were in the villages and could not do anything. We are now waiting for graduation and put in practice what we have learned.
After graduation tukareba twaza kutangira nkahi.
Banyeta ko Muhangi Donata the chairperson wa group ejeje eyatongere.
I am the chairperson of this group that got money. The group is called Kalsandala HIV/AIDS Craftswomen Group. UWEP gave us money in 2017 and they gave us 3.3 million Ugandan shillings. We used it in 1 year and got 23 million out of it. We do baskets and kitchen gardens, and we also have a saving group. We thank UWEP because this money helped us as women. Women can now educate their children and build houses because many of them are single mothers. We work without jealousy because we want to leave a legacy that even those who will be around tomorrow will appreciate.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Live here on your national broadcaster, and we are moving to our Game Your Agenda, if I'm to remind you. And many thanks for joining us, to all of you who have been, all of you joining in this particular morning. Well, May, and so to speak, as yesterday was a public holiday, I want to believe many are back to their businesses. Not so many Ugandans were buying the idea of celebrating Labor Day, but of course, many of those who celebrated and those that, of course, congregated in Fort Portal for the national celebrations here in Uganda at the Mukabura grounds. And then our Labor Day 2024 celebrations were under a theme of improving labor justice, a prerequisite for improved productivity. And of course, we are now going to have a conversation following the highlights of yesterday's event. But joining me on a phone call and currently in Fort Portal is Mr. Moses Mawuku, who serves as the Treasurer General for NOTU, National Organization for Traders Union. And he's joining us on a phone call to, of course, dissect and try to break down some of the details that happened in Fort Portal and what was recommended and what message did of what impact did the President's message have on the workers that were celebrating Labor Day. A very good morning, Mr. Moses Mawuku. You are live on Good Morning Uganda. How are you today?
I'm very well. Good morning, Brother Sonko. And I wish to also salute and greet and congratulate all the workers of Uganda upon our peaceful celebrations of the International Labor Day that took place in Fort Portal yesterday. Though the activities for Labor Day started a little bit earlier with a number of pre-Labor Day activities that we conducted as National Organization of Trade Unions, where one of the activities we conducted actually in Fort Portal was a workshop for women, all our women leaders and young workers, which was supported by Enabel Uganda. And it took 2 days inducting them and educating them on a number of topical issues that surround and affect the workers' conditions at workplace. We also had another meeting, workshop, also for 2 days on BTVET, that where we included most of the institutions that are vocational within Fort Portal and the surrounding districts, to also educate them on a number of issues, including the legislation on BTVET in Uganda, the benefits that are derived, trying to deal with the issues of advising parents and younger people to try and join and study vocational subjects that can make them more employable than even going to higher education sometimes, even when their families are struggling financially. So we were handling a number of activities, and it was grounded on the 30th by a mammoth procession, which commenced from the Parliament of the Fort Portal, Toro Kingdom, and it was flagged off by the Prime Minister of Toro on behalf of the King. And we walked a 5-kilometer distance with numbers beyond 500 people that can participate from both Fort Portal, the workers that came from Kampala and the workers within Fort Portal. So we had our march to commemorate the day before the D-Day, which was yesterday. So we had very fantastic celebrations, especially this year. Everybody was saying this is the first of its kind in about 30 years in NOTU. So we are proud that we have made it, and we continue to do even better. We had a relatively very good speech at the Labor Day celebrations. Even His Excellency the President made that comment that the speech was very good, and made promises to have meetings with us so that we can comprehend the issues and discuss the way forward, despite the fact that he had to pronounce himself on some of the key issues that were very salient arising from our Labor Day speech.
Mr. Maku, sorry to cut you short. When you mention the fact that the President had to pronounce himself on quite a number of issues, From your perspective and from what the president shared, what are those points that he had to pronounce himself on that you were able to capture so that our viewers can get a clear picture of the celebrations yesterday?
One of the biting issues that we actually raised about 9 points, but he captured about 3, which he said to him were most pertinent. And one of them was the casualization and labor brokering in Uganda, where many of these investors that we have are employing people on casual basis. And casual-based work is this type of work which is precarious in nature. The person who is working as a casual does not contribute to his or her social security. They don't have accounts with NSSF. These people do not contribute. Most times they don't even contribute to pay as you earn. So even they are not making value or adding value to the GDP of Uganda, but they're in employment and in big numbers. Even some of the employees who are on contract or permanent employment basis, they get to be stopped and taken over by a company which is brokering for this company. They can claim that grade 1 to 3 are going to be stopped and taken over by another company on casual basis when somebody has been in employment for even 10 years or more. So the president at least took interest in this matter, and he directed the minister in charge of labor to take keen interest and begin discussions with both employers and the workers' organizations to ensure that we deal with the issue of casualization. It has been one of the biggest problems in employment in Uganda, where you have an employer coming as an investor and he tells the government, I am going to create 500 jobs.
True.
And indeed he creates the 500 jobs. But out of the 500 jobs, he has 100 jobs, his own nationals. If it's Chinese, 100 people are Chinese, 400 who are Ugandans, only 20 are permanent employees. The 480 are all casual employees doing precarious work, jobs that don't add value to the GDP of Uganda. So this is the matter that has been biting on our side as employees and workers of this country, and the president has promised to do that it takes to ensure that he streamlines employment conditions in the area of casualization. So we were very happy with the president, with his take on the issue of casualization of employment in Uganda.
Okay. And of course, some of the other points that were highlighted from NOTU as well as other workers' representatives was matters to do with exploitation of workers in their spaces of work. Kindly, on that point, can you help us try to build on the reasons behind the exploitation and what leaders of NOTU feel should be the solution for something like that?
Well, it remains our mandate to advance, advocate, promote, protect, and defend the workers' social and economic interests. But it's also an underlying fact that every government has the responsibility on all workers, and that is the reason government under the tripartite arrangement, they enact laws to guide the behavior, the conduct, the terms and conditions of service between employers and the workers. As workers' organizations, it remains our role to ensure that we monitor and implement, put into use the labor laws that we have in Uganda. As a matter of fact, most of these Ugandans and in the working environment have been harassed by so many of these employers, especially the investors, the Asians and Chinese in Uganda. Some of them claim to have godfathers in the government. And even when you go to these factories, they sometimes even bar labor officers from undertaking inspections, which is clearly stipulated in the laws of the land. So we want to engage government continuously on the matter of exploitation of workers, so that we ensure that workers enjoy the peace that they deserve to enjoy in workplace at all times. There are those employers who are not compliant, who are so stubborn. Very many times unions have approached them, but using some underhand methods, they try to insist that they will not accept or sign recognition agreement. We are going to draw a list. We shall ask all unions affiliating to draw lists of the stubborn employers, and we put them on the shame list first of all as non-compliant employers, and we begin pursuing them at not level.
And
this
also
is going to be done in the interest of the common worker.
Well, let's talk about the labor justice, because labor justice is one thing that is part of our theme for this year's celebrations. The celebrations were under the theme of improving access to labor justice. Yesterday, I got the chance to interact with the head of the industrial court, and she did share with me that over the years, the industrial court has been handling some of these cases, and also encouraging, she also encouraged rather the workers in Uganda to continue reporting any sort of mistreatment at work, and then the industrial court is there to cater for them. However much she underscored that they do face a challenge of having there are only 2 judges as of now. But looking at what she shared yesterday, moving forward in a conversation that will lead to labor justice, what are your recommendations as NOTU, and what do you think the industrial court, for example, should do to protect these rights?
Well, this matter of labor justice was clearly articulated in our speech as workers to the government, and our emphasis, it is a matter of law. I realize that the president intimated that there are more biting issues than probably recruitment of staff or going into courts, but it is a matter of law. Is the same head of state who already assented to a law that provides for 5 judges, and yet we only have 2. So it is a matter of putting it into implementation. We shall continue to lobby by all standards to ensure that we get the 5 judges in court, so as to reduce on the backlog of the cases that is underlying. It was said clearly that the 2 judges that we have administering 20 million employed persons in Uganda, it's just impractical. And the court is only resident in Kampala. There are people working in Karamoja, there are people working in Kanungu, there are people working in all those districts surrounding, Koboko and everywhere. So when will they ever receive justice if the court they have to go to is only resident in Kampala? Does this person, the employee who is earning 150,000 shillings per month, have the money to even come to Kampala to pursue a matter in court, in the industrial court? So, like we said, we need this court to have court circuits in regions, so that those people in those other regions can also easily access services of the industrial court. But it will only be a matter of lobbying to ensure that we talk to Ministry of Finance to provide resources so that these judges can be recruited into office and the worker continues, so that we can reduce the backlog of the cases that are there and those that continue to be reported on a day-to-day basis. So we cannot have justice, you cannot increase or improve labor justice if the court of judicature for the employees is having such a huge gap in as far as administration is concerned, and the number of judges and the other support staff in court. They say that justice delayed is just denied. So we shall not be seen to improve labor justice if we don't improve on the administration and structures of the industrial court as the law provides. So we shall continue to do lobbying to ensure that that has been put into action.
Well, moving forward, Mr. Mauku.
In court.
Hey.
Labor justice has been denied.
Okay.
Right from workplace. That is just a referral.
Okay.
But in workplace, people's labor rights, we have 8 different labor laws. We are operating at less than 20%.
Of those 8?
No.
Okay.
In terms of percentage,
Mm.
the organizations in Uganda that recognize and negotiate with unions are less than 20% as we speak now. There is, in the first instance, a lot of informality in employment in Uganda, where many of these people in employment are not being employed formally. They don't have employment contract, much as it is expressly provided for in the Employment Act and many other labor laws, but the people still remain working informally without any documentation about what their terms and conditions are. The laws, for example, Section 2, Section 3, 4, and 5 of the Labor Unions Act provide for the liberties and freedoms of all employees to associate, freely join or form trade unions of their own choice, and also barring employers to interfere with that freedom. Section 24, 1D and 24, 1E all make it express that every employer is bound to recognize a trade union to which his or her employees subscribe for purposes of collective bargaining. But when you put a question to various companies, how many companies are putting this into practice?
Because that is what I wanted to ask Mr. Mauku in relation to, having labor unions in organizations in Uganda today. How far are we? And are we going to see them coming up this very year, or are there chances that organizations, companies, industries are going to be open to such things in the near future?
Even as we speak now, it depends also on the strength of the labor union.
Okay.
There are labor unions which have big numbers, and there are those that have very few membership. So it also depends on the strength and the strategies each individual union puts in place to ensure that you recruit and organize members into your union.
Okay.
There are unions that are relatively weak, and it is one of the strategies that we have started with, is to strengthen the capacity of every union to be able to organize and recruit membership into the unions so that labor justice can prevail, and in accordance with the provisions of the different legislation in as far as labor is concerned.
Okay.
The other is also to continue raising the awareness, creating the awareness of the workers. It has been one of the pitfalls where the workers are not aware about their rights as provided for in the National Constitution, Article 29 and Article 40, about their rights that is stipulated in the National Constitution and the different labor laws. So it is also another task that we have in conjunction with the government and the employers' organization to inform the ordinary employee of his rights or her rights so that they can join the unions so that they can pursue their rights in accordance to the law. We also have another task to create awareness amongst employers. One of the deterrents has been the history of trade unions. Trade unions before, in the olden days, they used to have poor techniques of negotiation or bargaining. They would go with strict positions on the bargaining table, and they hit tables. So employers used to have that notion of unions will always only come to my organization to increase salary. It's not the case, because you cut the cloth according to, you have to do something that is commensurate to the income or the capacity of this organization to meet the obligations. That is why it is called collective bargaining. The salaries one organization can pay may not necessarily be the same as the other organization. That is why we engage into negotiation. The benefits one organization can offer in terms and conditions of employment may not necessarily be the same as the other, depending on the different sizes or capacity to meet certain obligations. So we have to engage into continuous collective bargaining agreements with the employers to ensure that we create fairness between the employer and the employee. Because all these three people need one another. Government needs employers, government needs workers, workers need employers, and vice versa.
Okay, let's talk about a little bit of wealth creation. The president emphasized wealth creation yesterday in his speech, and also highlighting that Ugandans really need, that the issue today is not unemployment, but the issue is lack of vision and the attitude as well from some of the Ugandans who are in the employment world, of course, and even those who are not employed as of now. Looking at wealth creation with NOTU, which is, you know, an organization bringing together trade unions in Uganda, have you been having, you know, symposiums or workshops, name it, encouraging employees, encouraging those that are still under employment to create their own wealth during the time they are still under employment?
These are some of the things we continue to do while we're building capacities of our membership.
Okay.
We actually try to trade, but the way His Excellency brought this matter is, it is like a new format or a new approach in doing things. And given the fact that he promised that he wants to meet us in June, we are going to comprehend better what is this type of notion that is introducing. It has not been there in the recent past. He's introducing it. Even himself, he has been talking of unemployment as a problem. But now he's seeing, as a visionary leader, he's seeing that the problem we have is actually not unemployment, but lack of vision by many people. There are very many people who have money and they misuse it. Within a period of 1 year, somebody who had $1 billion on his account, he has become a beggar and he doesn't have a coin. So if we become more visionary on how to invest, save and invest, then the situation will definitely change. You'll find people clinging on jobs even at the age of 80, somebody is working. It's because of poor planning. This person at the age of retirement, you would be thinking of going to do your own business, but some of them never want to leave work because they don't have what they have planned to do on their own. So I think we are going to take it more seriously and take lessons from what His Excellency is telling us and how best we can get it done. So when we get the opportunity to interact with His Excellency in June, it's one of the key areas that is going to that we are going to emphasize, that we get a clear lesson on how best we can bring it up in the workplace or within the trade union fraternity, and we see how we can get to begin investing as workers so that we can create employment. If one person can create employment for 10, then 100 people can create employment for 1,000 people in a small period of time. So it is one thing that we actually liked from the submissions of the president, and we are going to follow up on how best we can take it forward.
Let's talk about job security today. A couple of times you do realize not so many of us have the security to stay at the job. Given you know, the kind of contracts that many of the employers in Uganda offer, at times it's either a verbal contract and at times it's a written contract. But of course, you get to realize that the employers have the right to fire you at any time and hire someone else. Now, when you look at moving forward as a country, is it a high time we talked about the element of job security? Because you do realize not so many Ugandans are secure of their spots in different workspaces.
One of the best ways in law to ensure job security is one of the best ways to ensure job security of a worker, one is for this worker to become organized in a union, so that you have a representative body. It is then that union that negotiates a collective bargaining agreement. Where a collective bargaining agreement exists, there is job security. Because for the first instance, every collective bargaining agreement prescribes a disciplinary code. And in this disciplinary code that we negotiate, we stipulate the reasons under which an employee can get a warning letter, how many warning letters is an employee supposed to get before firing or before termination. And an employee is only supposed to be terminated after going through a disciplinary hearing. So all these steps in the disciplinary code ensure job security of this person. It stops being this issue of a manager saying, I don't want you in my department, remove my uniform. Because there is a written procedure. Actually, even in the Employment Act, Schedule 1, it stipulates the procedures of how to handle grievances or cases in a given workplace. So we refer to the law and also determine according the disciplinary committee, depending on the size of the company. If the company employs fewer people, it has fewer departments, the composition of that disciplinary committee is smaller. If it is a bigger company, the composition is slightly bigger. And this composition of disciplinary committee involves the workers' leaders, who then represent the person who has committed an offense.
Okay. And
it gets different or difficult if you are one employee who is a rank and file employee. A smaller employee, maybe a cleaner. You have been suspected to have committed an offense, and you are going to meet a managing director. This employee who does not even know English, how do you defend yourself in a disciplinary hearing if you don't have a competent person who can represent you? That is what we discuss and negotiate in disciplinary codes under the collective bargaining agreement. That secure people's employment. If you are meant to go, you have committed a capital offense, you will go back through a disciplinary hearing after people have understood that you are actually the very person who has committed this offense. That must make you lose employment, and not just because somebody does not wish you to continue, or you conflicted outside the company, then it becomes a matter of disciplinary action at workplace.
Okay. Let me draw your attention just quickly here, lastly, from a viewer's comment. This one says, good morning. I think it's meaningful for us to commemorate such days with the purpose of tackling issues that pain workers like overtaxation, exploitation, peanut salaries, insecurity. All those have forced most of the workers to seek for greener pastures abroad, hence causing brain drain. So I call upon the government and all concerned to create a very conducive working environment for locals, and this will boost high standards of living and development to the country at large. Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makinde Luafu. Thank you, Derek. Mr. Mauku, the attention that I want you to, the reason as why I want to grab your attention on this comment is on matters to do with the salary structures for many of our employees today. That is going to be our last kind of situation in regards to the conversation. Your take on it, and what is not to stand?
My take, first and foremost, is we all need to understand the notion of paying salary is an opportunity cost. An employer, we are three persons that are present in every workplace 24/7.
The tripartite.
There is government in every workplace, and the government has interests in every workplace. And that is the reason the government registers every organization that performs business or services. So for those for the services this organization is rendering, it pays tax to government. That registered. The employer has interests in this very business, and the employer puts in place a business to make profit, not to employ people. not to pay taxes. The sole purpose an employer puts in place a factory or a company is to make profit. The employee comes to get or seek employment to earn a living. All these three parties, the ones we refer to as tripartite partners at workplace, are looking for money in this very one organization. So the government has powers over the money in the organization through tax. You either pay the tax or they give you sanctions or close you. The employer has powers over the money. If he wants money from his organization, he will merely write a check. He does not ask the employee. The employee, if you want more salary, you must negotiate or beg. So under the circumstances, an employer would have more profit if he pays you less. You get?
Yes.
And under the circumstances, employers always, and including government, they will always want to pick taxes more easily. The tax administration cost of collection is against the payroll. If government wants to collect money so easily, it is by payroll. Make this deduction. Make this deduction. It is automatic. And the employer will meet by a certain date, like you can see, pay as you earn, NSSF, those taxes. By 15th, the employer has remitted, according to law. So the issue of salary, little salary, like even my comrade in Makili is saying, it is true that the shock absorber for any shocks in business is actually an employee. When they increase the rates for national water or umeme, then the employer is saying, how do we reduce on the emoluments of the employees to continue remaining earning the same profit? They get to the wage bill. Because there, if you don't have a collective, but if you don't have a representative union, they will do anything with your salary. They will stop allowances that have been crossing to you. They will begin charging you unnecessarily. You come late for 30 minutes, they cut a day. You absent yourself one day, they reduce by 5 days.
Okay.
They are saving money to pay the constant costs,
Okay.
which they cannot negotiate. You get? So the only thing you can best do as a worker is join a union, work with the union to determine your own terms and conditions of employment in accordance to the national constitution, the different labor laws.
All right,
If
let's.
you're not a union member,
Okay.
you will always be at large for anybody to exploit you. That is what I can submit.
All right, Mr. Mauko, lastly, in your parting shots, what would be your message to the workers?
I want to thank workers for the continued effort they put in to build this economy, but encourage them seriously that time is now for them to look out for a labor union, a trade union of their choice within their sector, so that we can fight a battle together to ensure that we improve our terms and conditions of employment by way of negotiation at workplace, collective bargaining agreements, by way of influencing policies that affect employees at workplace through representation at your union level, at National Organization of Trade Unions level, and also at Parliament, since we have members of Parliament that represent us in the big house. That is my message to all Ugandan workers, and I want to once again salute and appreciate His Excellency the President for steering this country and the submissions he made at our International Labour Day in Fort Portal yesterday, and the promises that he made to workers. We shall continue to dialogue, discuss with him, and seek more of his guidance in the new area of how to create wealth. And we shall support him in his bid to ensure that he addresses the issues of the market workers, as we reported yesterday, and as he also promised to ensure that he looks into that problem where most of the market vendors who had even sunk their little savings into these markets have been asked to leave these markets for the petty bourgeois who are within town. I want to salute you and thank you for allowing us time as National Organization of Trade Unions to continue speaking to the nation on matters that partake employment in this country.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mauku Moses, and thank you very much for your time. We do wish you all the best and safety on your return back to Kampala. There you have it. That is Mr. Mauku Moses, who is the Treasurer General from NOTU. He was giving us a little bit of what the NOTU intends to do along the way. And of course, breaking down some of the details that were shared during the National Day celebrations for Labour's Day in Uganda in Fort Portal District yesterday. Okay, and that is it for our agenda this morning. Coming up shortly is Ruben Pima with the sports here on Good Morning Uganda. Afterwards, we shall return with the GMU Extra. Stick around. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning